We are back again. Pat Stedman, Periscope. Pat Stedman, Periscope. Doing a little surprise one. Little surprise one. Feeling like it today. Um, Wanted to do one for the New Year's, but I'm having a bunch of people over for a New Year's Eve party tomorrow. Remember, the equinox is the New Year's. Keeps having to say that. Remind people because they get confused. But having a New Year's Eve party, went to the food store to get all the stuff, and like half of what I got were flowers because what's an equinox party without flowers and orgies? I'm just joking, actually, but that's actually the spring equinox is normally known as fertility rites. So that stuff isn't too out of the ordinary, to be honest. So nothing really special. We're not on theme today for the wine. I'm not going to really comment much on it. This is a brand called Mayomi. It is a really standard brand. It had a lot of marketing behind it, but it is definitely a step above a lot of the standard brands out of California. So I actually forget he's the person who started this is the son of a pretty big Napa wine growing family, but I completely forget. They mostly do like Pinot Noir and stuff, and I think it's all right. It's all right. I wouldn't buy it normally, but I have to be honest. I was getting a little sticker shock. I only went to a very tiny wine store, and what they had to offer there was not a lot, and it was very expensive. Like seeing Veuve Clicquot for $75. Sorry, Veuve Clicquot should be like that's like a 50% premium. So I was just kind of like, I'm not gonna really get anything here. And actually, this is definitely the best of their stuff that I've had. Like I've had their Pinot Noir, I've had some of their whites. Um, it's Method Champenois. So for $20, I'll take it. So look, guys, I wanted to first start by talking a little bit about sex. Okay, I want to talk about sex because, and everybody loves talking about sex, but I want to talk about it because of that tweet I put out the other day, which one of you was kind enough to clarify a bit because I got some mixed responses to it, like people not fully understanding exactly what I was talking about. Um, I'm referring to energy centers. And I want you guys to really think about this for a second, because once you understand energy centers, you understand how much of a difference it makes throughout your entire life, right? People talk about breath work and how important breath work is, how important breathing is, why you can maybe ask yourself why there are certain slogans about breathing that have been promoted among people, why wearing certain things that cover up breathing, because breathing is very, very important. And why is breathing important? Well, breathing is important not only because of, biological oxygen, whatever, but breathing is important because breath moves energy. Okay? Breath moves energy through your body. So if you're trying to get in touch with your body, if you're trying to get grounded with your energetic system, breathing, especially deep belly breathing, is what's going to get you there, right? People who are, very aware of sexual practices know that breathing is a very, big way that you can move your orgasm through your body, right? You can see over here, Taoist Secrets of Love. Two of my books I'm jiving on right now. That's why I'm so weird. The Bible and Taoist Secrets of Love. Um, it moves energy throughout the body, right? And so a lot of people don't breathe very deep. They breathe shallow, okay? Or they don't really breathe much at all. And that's a reflection of where their energies congregate in their body, which is usually up here, right? Usually up here. And there's a couple of reasons why we do this, right? We do it because maybe there's some physical trauma or emotional trauma that we suffered, and so we don't want to be in our body. We actually want to be outside of our body, and so we move to our head and we kind of stay there and we hang out there. And a lot of the stuff that is in society today is designed to keep us there, right? When you scroll through your phone, you're in your head. You play a video game, you're in your head. Um, I'm going to get to that, Bob. That's part of what I'm leading up to. So you get into your head, right? And that's this whole cult of scientism, right? nothing wrong with science, but science is something very different than scientism. Scientism is it's well, actually it's very hierarchical, but it's this but the sort of elevation of anything that is data driven, anything at the head, that's really in this head energy, that's the only good stuff, right? So we know as a society we're mostly in our head, we're not much in our body, and we're not much in our heart. Now, if someone's mostly in their head, does that mean they don't get into their body or that they don't get into their heart? No, it doesn't mean that. One of the benefits of sports and athletics is that it does put people into their body, right? Puts people in their body because, and you can see this if you start to, you playing sports. At first, you might be in your head, but then you kind of get pulled into the moment because there's something that you physically have to do. The ball gets kicked over here. You're on a soccer court. You're going to run towards it. So that's moving into your body. And then you fall in love with someone, right? Or you get infatuated with somebody. Well, there's elements of your mind there, but it does tend to open up. It tends to find pathways to open up your heart a little bit. And so you do feel that with somebody else. Okay, so, but generally speaking, we stay in our headspace. And that's a problem. It's a problem because it doesn't make us feel good. So, to go into this tweet I made about sex, what I was saying was that two people in a long term relationship that remain in their headspace rather than their heart and their body, in order for them to feel sexually happy, they are going to have to resort to increasingly degenerate acts. I'm not necessarily saying that with any sort of judgment. I don't think that that can be a bad thing for the relationship, right? But generally, when that occurs in a relationship and it's not a bad thing, there is heart grounding as well. You can say the trifecta with sex will engage all three elements, all three major areas of the body, right? Of the self. It's a better way to put it. But people who are most or just in their headspace for the most part, by default in their headspace, but what happens is that all that early stuff that opens up in the infatuation period, that heart starts to kind of close off, right? Because there is so much projection and fantasy going on. They're not getting what they want. And so then they close off. And then, especially if the other party maybe starts to get out of shape or, um, they don't start to do things that move the energy into their body, then even that can start to disappear. Now, the body stuff is I think less of a big deal. It can be a big deal, but um, the body stuff has a lot to do with, of course, physical attractiveness. It's like the biological turn on. When I see this person and when I smell this person, because that the two are actually very important. Some people, you might be physically attracted to them, but the pheromones are off. That's your body's reaction. Okay. But one of the big issues with porn, for instance, is that porn takes you out of your body and it puts you back into your head, right? All these things that move you into your headspace. This is the real reason porn's bad, and why we can distinguish porn, hardcore pornography, and frankly romance novels too, which is the same kind of stuff for women. Well, we can distinguish this stuff from sort of soft core stuff where you see a naked woman, right? If you see a naked woman and she's beautiful, that actually, that doesn't necessarily put you in your headspace. That can actually be something that you're still in your body with that. But when you're watching like scenes and stuff, and when you're really when it becomes more and more vulgar, then your mind starts to fantasize. Even erotic hypnosis has this sort of, it's definitely a tool in the toolbox. It's not bad in context, but what you see is like guys in everything like Cosmopolitan for women today. You see women who are getting like addicted to vibrators because they're in their headspace. They can't actually get themselves off. A lot of women can't come because they're in their headspace. A lot of guys can't get hard or have premature ejaculation because they're in their headspace. Okay, they're moving into their headspace, and everything's designed to keep them there. And so sexuality becomes, as we've commented on very often on this corner of the internet, it's about like grinding genitals against each other. It's very transactional because you're in your head. So in a long-term relationship, if you're in your head, what happens is that that relationship sexually will start to deteriorate unless that relationship begins to get more degenerate and starts to engage more fantasy. Now, that's not necessarily a bad thing, but the point here is that you shouldn't be put in this situation where your sex life with somebody is going to disappear and end, or you're going to have to start role playing gangbangs and stuff like that, or living them out even. Okay, that's not a natural phenomenon, but we've been told it's a natural phenomenon because we've been processing the world through this, and we haven't been doing it in our body, and we definitely haven't been doing it in our heart. I want you guys to understand something. Whenever there is a barrier, there is a way around the barrier. So when you're told, okay, monogamy doesn't work, you have to date other people, that's not true. Now, it could be that the way people are going about it doesn't work. But that doesn't, and this is true with everything. It's actually true with polyamory too. People say polyamory doesn't work. That's not true. There is a way to do it that does work. There's always a way to do it that works. You have to change an assumption and you have to go about it a different way. Okay? So what's really important is if you want to maintain a sexual connection in a relationship, you have to connect here and you have to connect with your body. Now, the body is a little bit easier because the body is, as we said, most likely if you end up with somebody, you are going to be okay with them, with their smell, and you're going to be okay with how they look. Now, maybe if they get out of shape, that becomes a problem and your body doesn't respond to them. And so that's why they have to get in shape. They have to look physically attractive so that they can trigger your body's reaction. But even still, that might not be enough if you're so much in your headspace because your body, it might be numb, right? We talk about porn and the numbing. Your mind may have so much taken over control of your sexual energy or of your sexuality that your body doesn't even properly respond to the right stimuli. So when we talk about like detoxing from porn, etc., what we're talking about is allowing yourself, your energy to drop back down there, allowing a reboot of your physiological energy. And that's great, but that still doesn't solve the whole problem, which is why you see people have relapses. The way for you to stop relapsing with porn on a macro level, there's a lot of really good tactics, and David has a really, really good book about quitting porn. I highly recommend it. He really knows his stuff. But it's being detached from the heart center, because if you're attached at the heart center, right? If you're attached at the heart center, then you're going to get aroused. Performance issues disappear when you're connected to your heart. Your heart is the nexus point. It pulls all the other energy centers together, right? Heart chakra pulls all the other centers together. So that's why if you love someone and you feel like you can trust them, generally that's the big issue with guys, right? When they get into a situation with a girl, they're in their head, they can't get aroused, they can't get turned, if they're really in their head a lot, then their junk isn't going to respond to the girl until maybe they feel enough connection with the girl that then their heart feels connected to them, and then they don't have a performance issue anymore. Happens just like that. Right? And that's why for these guys, maybe they don't want to do one night stands because they don't have enough trust built up with the girl. They need to feel connected on the heart level. And there's nothing wrong with that. Guys who can do one night stands aren't really necessarily grounded in their heart center, but they're not in their headspace, right? Which is why it's more common generally among guys who tend to be more of like sensor athletic to not have as much of a performance issue versus more intuitive people or intellectual people who tend to be at their head. They tend to have performance issues all the time. And I'm not saying that athletes and stuff can't have it, right? I'm not trying to box them in and say they can't have it. Just saying it's a little less common, right? It's a little less common because they're more in their body most of the time. And so they see an attractive girl and they can get it up, or even an unattractive girl, they can get it up because their body is all right with doing that stuff. But if you're somebody who certainly has your heart center open, you're going to find it becomes increasingly difficult for you to perform with people who you don't feel an open heart towards. There's nothing wrong with that, but that's relevant. Now, to bring this into a bigger relationship, what does that mean in a relationship? Well, it means that if you keep this heart center open, then sex isn't going to get bad over time because you're not connecting on the mental level, you're connecting on the heart level. And so the sex is a very intimate, passionate experience like that, right? There's a real opening of each other. You can add into it if you want. Once you have the heart open, you could add into it mental fantasies as like a garnish, okay? But you shouldn't be depending on that. Like if you have to depend on erotic hypnosis to get girls off, then something's off in the connection thing. And I think that the really good, the guys in our corner who do this stuff would agree with that. I mean, there's a lot of, if you want to have something more serious with a girl, there's pacing. A one night stand or something, you can throw in some of those things because she's just doing fantasy work, right? So I wanted to clarify that stuff so you guys understand it. Head center stuff is really bad for human connection because when we're in our head center, we are not connected to other people. We've got like these big cone heads. Everything is super dense here. And everything else is just, there's nothing there. Whereas when our heart's open, it expands outward towards everything else. So the next thing I just wanted to kind of make a mention of is talking about, when we talk about a lot of things here. We talk about saviors and stuff, and we're wondering, we wonder when things are going to change in our life. And look, I mentioned that tweet about like, abusive relationships. I mean, when we have to get over this like savior thing. We have to get over it. We have to get over the savior thing because when we believe in a savior, we don't actually draw a true. Like let me put it this way: there's a difference between asking for assistance and asking for help than there is for asking someone to save you. And I think that we need to come to terms with this on every level. Like when a guy has some problems with women, you see this all the time. The guy's just out there saying it's so terrible. Women do this. Women do this. Are they asking for help? It's like they want someone to fix the dynamic, right? They want someone to give them. I don't work with these guys, but early in my practice, you see them because you're not polarizing the correct individuals. But you'll see people say like they want you to do this and this and this for them. It's like, I'm sorry, I'm not here to do things for you. It doesn't work. I mean, first off, it doesn't work. Also, not what I want to do because they don't appreciate it. They don't appreciate it. I've had less than I've had over 200 clients, right? I've had maybe less than one hand. I don't even remember anymore. Somewhere around one hand worth of clients who I would say like didn't work out. And I remember with one in particular, it's like the guy had some very, very serious standards for me and what I could do, but what I should do for him. How I should, but he didn't do anything, did literally nothing. And early on, I had offered him a refund. Like after the very beginning, when I saw this stuff, I said, "Look, man, I'll just give you a full refund." He said, "No, no, 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 no." And then 2 months go by, and he complains more, and then he wants a refund. It's like, I'm not going to give you a full refund now. I'll give you a refund, partial refund. But it's like the point here was, like that was a big wake up call for me. After that, I have never had an issue again. That was like my lesson to just do not engage, do not polarize these individuals. But we are looking, you can see it. We're looking for somebody to come and save us, to do it for us. It's just not going to happen. It's not going to happen because we're not asking for help. We have to ask for help. It's very different. It's very different. So like when guys come to me, they're like, I have this situation. I want your help. I'm here. I'm here. I'm ready. That's my calling. Okay? But I'm not here to fix. Okay? You fix yourself. You heal yourself. You rebuild your society. Otherwise, what happens is that you go back into the abusive relationship. The person who helped you, well, they didn't help enough, right? They didn't do enough to help. They could help more. They could have done more things. Got to get over this stuff. All right? My role in a coaching dynamic is I am a mentor, but I'm not a superior. Understand? I'm a mentor, but I'm not a superior. I'm just another soul going on their journey who's able to provide guidance in an area that I understand, that I hold maybe more expertise in. But we're all sovereign individuals. We're all sovereign individuals. And we need to be allowing other people to make their choices and ask for help from those who can help us build what we want to build. When we do that and we stop externalizing and saying, well, they got to do this, they got to do this. Well, we have power. We have power. I think we're going to find out how much people really want it. That's the real question right now. What do people really want? Do we want to have great relationships in the next year? Do we want to find people who we deeply connect with and that we can build futures with? Or do we want to feel trapped and controlled in relationships that have been abusive, or relationships that have left us dissatisfied, relationships that have dishonored us? Do we prefer to be with somebody who doesn't treat us well, but is familiar? I see a lot of people keep wanting to go back. They miss the past. I don't miss the past. I honor the past. I think it's incredible. Can we think back for a second? We are really at about a year, right? Let's go back to a year ago and really see where, do we want to go back to what was before that? Do we want to go back to what was before that? Because, things started a little bit before the equinox last year, but nobody really thought that it was going to be what it was then. We were still in the old world. We were like, what's going on in the old world? But we were still in the old world. Do we want to go back to that? I don't want to go back to that. I have no interest in going back to that. Things I used to do back then hold increasingly less resonance. Relationships I built in that world, for the moment at least, many of them have increasingly less resonance. We saw this video, right? We saw the video in Tel Aviv today. What are people doing in that video? It looks like are they having a good time?